So to better understand some of our KOCO5 legends, we of course have to introduce you to Hoho and Pokey, and my good friend Jeff Briley is going to do just that. They were the dynamic duo, a bright spot in the days of Oklahoma children who gathered around the television set to catch their friends Hoho and Pokey.
Tell you what, may I share something with you and I'll have to hurry.
What comes flooding back are those moments of innocence and youth wrapped up into some really pleasurable television viewing.
Let's go for a ride.
Briley is the curator at the Oklahoma History Center. Now the caretaker of KOCO5 relics like Pokey the puppet.
Well, on the other side of the hand of Pokey was a fellow named Bill Howard.
Oh, are we rolling?
Who had been enlisted at KOCO for endless activities, and he fell into the role of being the embodiment of Pokey.
Hi, Pokey.
Give me 5.
Messages of kindness and compassion wrapped in comedy. A simple sock with sewn-on button eyes with the ability to transport grown adults back to their childhood.
Look at this guy. I mean, you cannot look at this very long until in your mind you're picturing a voice. Oh, well, it's some kind of, slightly whacked thing like this.
And Pokey's silly sidekick, Hoho the Clown, played by Ed Burchall.
As far as the circus is concerned, right now
It's the good old days.
are the good old days.
A fan favorite across Oklahoma City.
Thursday, October 25th, 1:30 till 3. Interesting. Hoho the Clown will be here. I hope you'll be here too.
Mother and daughter Susie Fentress and Melanie Hannenbaum, one of the countless families who invited Hoho into their home for a birthday party to remember back in 1967.
Of course, I watched him on TV, and he just seemed like such a sweet man. And I knew he was available for birthday parties, and so I just thought, well, that's just a great thing.
You know, my little friends, they're sitting there. He was just too big to be true, like sitting in your own living room. This person or this clown you see on TV.
The act would begin when Hoho rolled up in his car outside the birthday party.
Hi, I was looking for a home that might need a nice birthday.
It was the perfect car for Hoho.
Once inside, he acted as host, passing out gifts, even cutting the cake.
One reason why a mother loved him, when he left, there was nothing left.
Thank you.
The wrappings were all thrown away, the presents were all stacked up somewhere.
Clean, wholesome fun for the whole family.
Our world then was so much smaller, and that the fact that there were local TV shows that you could be involved with, it's kind of sweet, really.
And speaking of characters, you can't recount KOCO5 history without, well, the Count. If you grew up in Oklahoma, you likely spent late nights with Count Gregor, one of America's original horror show hosts. Fast forward 61 years later, and the Count is now 91-year-old John Ferguson, still in Oklahoma City and still fondly looking back on his golden days of ghoulish grins.
He just enjoys people, and he wants to be thought of as in that genre of Dracula and Frankenstein, of course. But he somehow makes these little missteps.
His show's recorded in the KOCO5 studio with the purpose of providing his viewers with the classics.
Sometimes we're a show within a show. And one thing we really didn't want to do was be predictable. Just keep the suspense and keep it going.
And because of all the children tuning in, he didn't want the Count to be frightening. Just a tinge mysterious.
But what it did become frightening, because when it was black and white, they would do close-ups, and I would start coming into that camera and say, well, I do hope you sleep well tonight.
You still got it, all these years later.
Well, I've done it enough times.
Practice and repetition, critical in the making of a legend. One of our most notable was Ida Blackburn, better known as Ida B.
He is Mr. Nashville.
She was a trailblazer, a single mother and working woman who filmed more than 3,000 episodes of her eponymous TV show right here on Channel 5.
So the stay-at-home moms at the time might be ironing and watching the Ida B show, or preparing or getting the kids ready for school, or whatever it might be. But it was like she was there talking to them personally.
The household name passed away in 2016, but her son, Bob Blackburn, not short on memories of his mother, a woman he calls totally uninhibited.
Off air, she She was kind of the queen of telling dirty jokes, but on air, of course, she'd try to keep it a little cleaner, family-oriented.
Her segments personal, her interviews wide-ranging, from local newsmakers to John Wayne to the Beach Boys.
It's a wonderful treat for me tonight.
She was quick-witted, she was sharp, she was a good interviewer. She would find the stories.
And years ago, during one of our last interviews with Ida B., when we asked what it was she loved so much about television, this was her response.
My heartbeat.
Another one of the KOCO5 greats, journalist Jack Ogle.
Qualified people who take a personal responsibility.
This is really more how I remember him.
The epitome of the old school anchorman. Take this photo, for example. Desk mic in one hand, a burning cigarette in the other.
His commentary, and he became a voice for the people, a voice for Oklahomans and every Oklahoman.
His legacy still living on at KOCO5 through granddaughter Abigail Ogle.
When I first started working here several years ago, our chief photographer, Kyle, I was walking through this area and he said, you know, your grandfather used to sit right there. And it kind of gave me a chill.
Yeah, we made this for my dad.
He started in radio back in the 1950s, adding color commentary to football games, eventually transitioning to television as a reporter and anchor.
It's up to us to be responsible for our own actions and our own safety.
Abigail remembers him as a fair and caring journalist, but most importantly, as a loving and doting grandfather. And although it's been almost 20 years since Jack Ogle passed,
we're fortunate in this area that we have
his distinct voice is hard to forget. His words living on in this poem he wrote for Oklahoma's 75th birthday.
Real Oklahomans change what they can and refuse to believe there's anything that can't be made better. Even Texans. Real Oklahomans will tell you if you think the first 75 years were something, just stick around, partner. You ain't seen nothing yet.
And then there's Bonds. Jerry Bonds, an Emmy Award-winning journalist who began her tenure at Channel 5 back in 1984, right before Election Day.
I think it was incredible in so many ways because it was probably the best learning experience of my life.
She covered the gamut, on air for some of Oklahoma's most transformative headlines.
One was the post office massacre in Edmond, and it was unfathomable. Others had to do with severe weather and being on the set for hours and hours.
At KOCO, she worked on a project called Oklahoma Pride.
I wonder how many pioneer kids climbed up this old trunk, and if these old branches could talk, what would they say?
Touring around the state in the station helicopter.
We would zero in on positive stories about this state and about the people in this state. And the whole point was for everybody to go, I didn't know that. Hey, this is a pretty good place to live.
If you were a little girl in Oklahoma 100 years ago, you might have dreamed of finding one of these Christmas morning.
She calls herself a cheerleader for our state, still claiming the home in Oklahoma.
One of the things I am proudest of.
And in 2008, she was inducted into the Journalism Hall of Fame. And speaking of fame and female powerhouses, Jayne Giroux, former Miss America, and the first female primetime Oklahoma news anchor right here on our air.
I loved it. I loved working at KOCO. I was the 6 and 10 o'clock news anchor beginning in 1978.
Equipped with eloquence and a crown, but no background in news, Giroux was determined not to let that stop her.
Oklahoma girls often don't know what they don't know, and they're willing to just get out there and try and work hard. And I think that was my experience in news. I was just willing to risk failure because I knew that it wasn't fatal to fail. And it was important to just give it my all and try my best.
And she soared, despite initial hesitation from her male counterparts who weren't used to sharing the reins with women in the newsroom.
It wasn't just the news anchoring responsibilities, but reporting, assignment desk. Throughout the newsroom, within a year, there were numerous women who stepped into leadership roles within the news department. KOCO put it together for me.
Giroux echoing the sentiments of all the legends who came before and after her, the value in information and the gravity of storytelling.
I just believe so strongly in the importance of community and that we're all in this life together, and the more we can share our interest, our grief, our celebrations, the better we are as a community.
It's such a great look back at the people that so many remember from KOCO. So, Marky, I have to ask, who was your favorite?
Out of all of them, I'd have to say Count Gregor. He was just full of energy, nostalgia. I mean, you saw he went back into character instantaneously. But you wish you could meet them all, and you can't anymore. But I'd have to say the Count.
So many incredible people. They are all legends. Marky, thank you.
Of course.